What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast, Aggro and Barracuda, as per usual. And we've got a big show in store.
Hello.
It's Barry. The audio has been kind to us as of late, and we want to
Really?
keep that. Yeah, it kind of has been. I don't know. I didn't do anything different, to be clear. It's just some days it conspires against me, some days it doesn't. Hopefully, my voice holds up. I am on the mend. This is the first day in a week where I have felt any amount of human, which is good. It also means, do you ever get the, when you've been sick for a little bit and then you feel better and you just, are in a mood, from just not being a subhuman anymore? So I apologize in advance if I'm...
Yeah, you have all this, degen energy you haven't unleashed in a long time, and now it's time. Yeah.
Yeah, I also haven't left my house in more than that, because I don't think I went out on Sunday or Monday because I thought surely I'd be leaving my house as I normally do to disc golf in the mornings or whatever. And then I was sick, so I couldn't. So I've been cooped up, and I'm going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, if you will. Except I'm not, because Cocoa Pebbles are the best chocolate cereal. Anyway, I can't get too sidetracked.
I really thought that's not correct, but I'm...
It really is, Barra. I'm not... I've never been so sure of anything. I know I'm right. Well, that's a good way to start this episode because it's a patch notes show, which means
and I did everything right.
And I did everything right in the patch, of course. No one is upset about anything in this patch. No one disagrees with any part of this patch. It's just, no notes basically. No one has any complaints at all. I kid, of course, but that is the norm. But particularly for big season patches where we are doing big sweeping changes like we did here in the 10.6 Season of Soul. So for these, I think it's best that Barry kind of drive, since it's the opposite of the usual dynamic where I will have a little bit more in-depth info or background. So Barry, you kick us off with wherever you want to start here in the patch notes. We aren't going to cover everything. Well, if there's something that we don't cover, make a YouTube comment or tweet at us or something like that, or the best place. Be nice, number one. Because I'm going to have to read comments, and Lord knows that I can't handle that very well these days. I'm getting old. And number two, just let us know, and we can, I don't know next week will be Masters, so we might not get a chance to talk a whole lot about it, but we can certainly talk about stuff in our community Discord. Patreon.com/backliners if you want to be a part of that. Happy to answer any questions there for sure. But yeah, I'll be checking comments and all that kind of stuff in case there's anything we don't get to. But Barry, where are we starting?
I want to start with Soul Surges because I did not realize that was going to be a part of Conquest.
That is.
And so when we were given the patch notes a little early, we had a section, it was Soul Surges, and then below that was Conquest. And I was like, oh, good. Why'd they give us this? I don't have to read that. And then first day of scrims, I'm like, what's this big circle on the ground?
My soul is being surged. What is this? Yeah.
So this caught me off guard kind of completely. And I'm still not used to playing with it and playing against it. I kind of like when someone dies and I get free farm. And sometimes it does about 1 trillion damage, it seems like.
Yes, there are moments where I think the Soul Surge
catches me off guard,
doing quite a bit. No, I don't think we have the time to go over all of the exact details, but the high level elevator pitch for Soul Surges is that whenever anyone dies on the map on either team, a area will expand on that location, and in that area, gods on both teams gain movement speed, and while below half HP, you get additional damage that can happen every so often. And in non-conquest, if you die inside the Soul Surge, it reduces your respawn timer by 50%. I will tell you that we did play test it with that being in Conquest. There is a significant reason why it can't be that way. In Conquest. It also periodically spawns a neutral ranged minion that will give some golden experience. Isn't super tanky, but isn't one-shottable. for like tanks. That will spawn in there periodically, and if someone else dies in the Soul Surge, it gets a little bit bigger and lasts a little bit longer. And then after it disappears, the effect goes on cooldown, and no Soul Surges will appear until it's off cooldown a few minutes later. Yeah, I think just generally about the mechanic, when we were talking about what we wanted to do for the Season of Souls, we felt like obviously incorporating death in some way is the easiest tie-in to the theme. But death is a punishing mechanic already, and if you make it less punishing, then there are a lot of bad consequences that come from that. If you make it more punishing, there are a lot of bad consequences that come from that. And so we kind of came up with this idea of what if there are these, there are already hot spots on the map. Like we've done it in the past for SPL broadcasts. Way back in the day, we used to have a heat map where like all of the deaths would happen across the Conquest map. And it'd be exactly what you'd think. It's a little higher around the entrances into mid lane, into Gold Fury.
I miss those things.
Around Fire Giant. Yeah, they're good. They're good data. And I think that you can still see them somewhere. Maybe that's just internal info for us.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those in a long time. I think Quintosh might have done those for our team.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Quintosh just, I can do a math thing. Yes, please. Don't mind if I do. But we wanted to encourage teams to be aggressive, and Soul Surges kind of allow that idea of, if I'm aggressive, and even if I'm maybe overly aggressive, I can hopefully set my team up for some success inside of the area where I died without it being an instant advantage for either team. There are going to be instances where your support dives their tower when they shouldn't, and it spawns a Soul Surge right next to their tower line. You can't access the minion. They can. They're getting a little bit of additional gold and XP, but it isn't a ton, and that is intentional for that reason. But in general, we just wanted to kind of encourage a big death ball. Like, get in there, follow up, and fight in this zone. And I think it definitely does take a long time to play around. This is something that we've been play testing for months, and I still don't feel like I really use it as effectively as I should. But I do definitely think about it now, where I didn't for a long time, where I know that I can juke more stuff inside the Soul Surge. I can return a little bit more damage if I'm low HP inside the Soul Surge. And I'm definitely starting to make more plays centered around it, and I'm excited to see how that impacts pro play. But it is definitely more impactful when you also reduce subsequent respawn timers. It has made Arena significantly more fun, in my opinion, because I'm get in there and one of us is dying. You're a triple doubler. I'm a triple double machine in Arena, and it's great for that. And we're doing so many things in the Conquest map. We always try and keep in mind these other modes, and are we making things fun and unique and interesting with these new season updates for them as well. So I think that we found a pretty good way to influence these other modes a little bit more strongly, but still incorporate a very thematic season mechanic into the Conquest map at the same time.
Yeah, I will say from pro player perspective, it is going to take a long time to get used to something like this. And it's a very drastic change. And it can completely change the way or change the direction of a team fight, depending on who dies first, where they die, if anyone else is low inside. Which is it's a fun mechanic, but it's definitely very different than, no, I wouldn't say like normal Smite, but it's just like a very large spice added into a dish, basically.
Yes. Yeah, it's not something that you can just completely ignore in competitive play.
Yeah, you can't. And I'm still trying to get used to it, and it's a very large change. I guess next, because it's just like in order. Sure. I don't really care about the art update. We can go over the geometry change a little bit to mid lane. Obviously, I assume you guys have seen it, but mid lane is just wide.
Massive.
It has gotten a lot larger, and the first few team fights we took in mid lane kind of felt like you were just on like the arena map
Yeah, it feels like
and
Assault.
just yeah, and just playing arena. Yeah. So what was the direction behind that and why?
Yeah, it ties into the thing that I'm sure we'll talk about next, which is the Stygian Beacon capture point
Hmm.
being right next to the mid lane. Um, we just knew that there were going to be a lot of fights centered around mid, and it just felt a little cramped without the geo change of pushing it a little bit wider. Um, and it's a way to quickly and immediately make a player feel like the lane is different. And it does
Hmm.
make a big difference in terms of what you're, it can change things like God viability, honestly, for just like the width of a lane, making it
Hmm.
safer, less safe, depending on how many people are there, what types of gods are being played, all that kind of stuff. That can really make a big difference. But really, the beacon capture point being such a focal point in the mid game meant that there were going to be more 4-on-4s and 5-on-5s in lane than there had been previously. And if you're trying to pack 4 people into mid lane at 15 minutes on the old setup, it would feel really, really cramped. So I think that was a really good
Yeah, I'd
amount
feel
of
like a
foresight.
5v5 on like the Joust map.
Yeah, yeah, it feels kind of like medieval joust
Yeah.
in that way. But yeah, it's really mostly about making sure that the beacon fights feel as good as possible.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing about it is just how far the bastions are apart.
Hmm.
Because I'm just every time I walk into mid and the bastions are still up, it just catches me off guard.
It's like taking the
Um,
like the me maker on the Wii U and like pushing their eyes as far apart as possible.
yeah,
Like it just looks like goofy. Like
it
they're
is.
they're wide. Big Zeus nerf,
Yeah,
Like I
and
can't bounce them.
and the tower is just weirdly placed, I think,
Mm,
or at least it seems weirdly placed because it's just like in the center of like a wide open
very
spot, and I
wide.
think that's the first time probably ever on the Conquest map I've seen a tower like that because they're normally always in like the corner
Right.
facing outward. And now it's just like smack dab in the middle of like a wide open space. It also definitely changes the way you can dive a tier 1 tower and play around that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it is interesting. Next up is the beacon, which I love the idea of the beacon. Just anything to do on the map right now, I think is a positive.
Hmm.
And also the new style of capturing it is exciting versus before when not the like capturing the cups wasn't exciting, but I kind of like the idea of everyone grouping up at designated times to team fight over something that's like mildly important or moderately important depending on the game state.
Right.
So I like the idea.
Yeah, I'm really excited with how the beacon fights turned out. It cups and the knights and all that kind of stuff, getting the siege minion,
Hmm.
or the gun or the jimmy, whatever you called the scepter. All of those were really great competitive things, but I've talked a lot on this podcast about how those were very difficult mechanics for the average to below average smite player to grasp, and certainly below, let's say, grandmaster games. Like, how many masters games do you think that the ranked non-competitive ADC rotated to help a support secure a cup in ranked? Like, never. Maybe
I
that
would
was like
say
the support's job. The support knew to do it, but did the team really
yeah.
like move with them in order to do that? Like, probably not that much.
It didn't really feel like that way when I had to play support because I was a cup lover,
Yeah.
and I don't think I got much help. Uh, I would just like play a god with a jump and just int for their cups on cooldown.
Right.
So I want to say you're right because I don't think I remember getting much help whenever I
No,
would
the supports learned to
invade
do it,
cups.
but teams didn't really learn how to
Yeah.
do it. So we were like, how can we make this more clear that everyone
Hmm.
should be getting there and everyone should be getting involved? And the capture point really evolved. We tried a million different iterations of rewards and timings and frequencies and
Yeah, I
all
feel
that
this
kind
is
of
a hard
stuff.
thing to balance.
Yeah, it was a lot for sure. This had a lot of back and forth, and the Titans had probably even more on their strength. But I think the Beacon is definitely one of my favorite additions to the Conquest map in a long, long time. It just opens up
Yep.
so many like really interesting decision points. Like, how many do you want to contest? I think it changes drafts a ton. Gods like right now. I know the community sentiment is that mages are not very good, and that might be true. But when you have double hunter and they have a Poseidon who can like AoE control the beacon really well, you're probably going to be thinking at some point like Merlin field might actually be pretty good in order to guarantee a lot more beacon control. Now maybe that's still not enough in order to make them viable, but like it does change. It makes gods like I haven't wanted to play Raijin in God knows how long, but that guy's pretty good.
Don't summon that into existence.
That god's pretty good on these types of fights. You know what I mean? So it does. I'm just kidding, by the way. I played Raijin to play test today. Absolutely emptied my brains out. Did nothing. Don't pick him. Definitely not my fault in any way. But, thinking about, is this the time where we are, do we want to go for the 12-minute beacon? Or is that a good opportunity for me if I'm behind in a side lane? If my laner rotates and I get to push in 2 waves, grab a blue, and grab the cooldown buff on solo side, I'm back in the game. You know what I mean? So it opens up a lot of team play, and I'm happy with the clarity of it, and the information that it'll take new and inexperienced players still a long time to get used to it, but the map wide warnings, all that kind of stuff, I think are all very good. And I think the buff is at a spot where it feels impactful and noticeable, and not like, oh, we can't win because they got 2 beacons or 3 beacons. Like, if you gave up all 3 beacons, it should feel like you have a harder chance to win, that they have a significant advantage because they engaged with the map mechanics. But it shouldn't be impossible. And I don't think, for me personally, that it feels impossible. It feels not perfect, but close to the right strength for these buff rewards, which I also think is good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, if you haven't had control for, like a solid 12 minutes of the map, you're probably not going to win the game anyways.
Exactly.
Well, if they're capturing it like on CD.
Right.
So yeah, I like the beacon overall, and then after you capture the third one, the Titans will unleash and go down the lane with the most structures in it. And I will say from a pro player perspective, the only thing I don't like about the Titans unleashing is not being able to end the game.
Sure.
Which when I read the patch notes, I didn't think it would happen to me. But it's happened like 6 times already.
No shot. 6?
Yeah, it has.
Wow. That's
and
unlucky.
Yeah, I don't know if we're just getting very unlucky, or also you can play around obviously capturing the 3rd beacon. But sometimes the team fight will just happen and you'll kill everyone and walk to their base, and you look up and the Titan's like halfway down solo lane, you're like, oh. Oh no. So I don't. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the tournament because it is a little goofy. That
would be unfortunate.
It's still obviously it's in the game.
Yep.
So you kind of have to play around it, and you have to play around the 3rd beacon coming up, or when you want to contest the 3rd beacon, if you even want to capture the 3rd beacon, if you have like a giant lead, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it has happened to me a bit more than I thought it would in the 2 weeks.
Yeah, if it happens every once in a while, I don't view that as a huge issue. If it's happening all the time, that's probably not great.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's just kind of funny. But hopefully, because I do think it'll be a little funny if it happens in the tournament. where it's like a super hype team fight, and the Titan is just like in
Moseying on
Narnia
out.
walking
Yeah.
away.
Come back. Come back.
But I mean, I like the Trebbies a lot, and I like the Titan idea a lot. That's the only issue, and that's the only thing that feels weird about it.
Yeah, Titans were a big topic in our playtests for sure because it's obviously a splashy mechanic. It's a big one. It's a very cool moment, and you want it to matter, but it also can't be the balance point, which I don't think that if we are off on it, it's not by a ton,
Mm-hmm.
but it is small because you don't want the epic end game objective to be a wimp and be a little pushover, but
Mm-hmm.
you also don't want to just lose the game to an NPC. Um, so, I think that the majority of feedback I've seen has been on the side of the Titans don't do enough, and I think that is the better end of the coin to be closer to.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But overall, I think that I'm happy with how the team was able to take a lot of the feedback of there isn't enough to do on the map. The games are just the same. You aren't being moved around the map by the map itself. It's just kind of at each team's discretion.
Mm-hmm.
I think between the beacons and the Titans unleashing, there is a lot to do on the map now and a lot of new factors that you have to contend with, but ones that also meet our goals of clarity and aren't impossible to understand what's happening, which I think is really, really good. So, well, I'm very excited to see this tournament, man. I mean, it's so I can't express, and no one really can understand unless you've been in the position of working on something for months and seeing so many different iterations on something, and then you just got to release it to the wild, and then you don't know what let alone like what people are going to think about it, but what it's going to look like in people who will use it better than you do's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very nerve-wracking but also very exciting feeling. So we've been playing with Unleashed Titans since March, like March probably, maybe February is when we probably started gameplay on it. So it's been a long time and a lot of different iterations, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like in pro play. I hope it does some cool stuff.
Next up is the Fire Giant respawn delay going from 4 to 5 minutes, and the buff duration going from 3 to 4 minutes. I think this is a massive change.
Yep.
And it also has this goes for FG and EFG. It's kind of made me forget what it's like to siege with a 4 minute Fire Giant, because before it really felt like you were late for school when you
Yep.
got fire, and you were just like, okay, everybody get your buffs quickly. We have to run down duo as fast as possible.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, we have like 2 to 3 sieges, and if those go bad, or 2 to 3 waves to play with, and if those go bad, we're
We're
probably done.
done. Yep.
And now it's like, oh, we can like push a solo tower after we get fire. And then
Yeah.
we can like back afterwards, and we don't have to like race over to the duo lane as fast as we can. And I just like this a lot. I think it also makes sieging a bit easier in general, which is something that's really hard to do, or at least it was hard to do in the previous I guess patch.
Yeah.
And this just makes it easier.
Yeah, I think that's really the big thing is just that we
Mhm.
saw how much teams were struggling to end games at every level. And I was a big proponent of the shorter Fire Giant being a reason why. So excited that we were able to get the change in, and hopefully it leads to some more successful sieges. But we'll see. We'll see.
And then Titan's getting squishier. Bastion's increasing damage reduction, and then getting squishier. Phoenix is getting squishier, and then basically everything that's contestable is now worth more, basically to allow a bit more of a snowball, I think, and then less farm on the buffs.
Yeah, really just based on feedback from a lot of our players that the map was too hard to snowball the game on. Hopefully this will lead to some games that aren't getting to that unwinnable state, but are also ending a little bit earlier if a team is earning it.
Mm-hmm. And then also Cyclops chest getting nerfed. So the chest that spawned to give you gold
has
getting
it
nerfed
felt
from 1.6 to 1.
snowballier and scrims to you so far?
Some games yes. Well, every game yes, but some games the snowball isn't as fast as others.
Sure, sounds good to me.
But I will say, obviously, the pace has sped up across the board.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what we want, right?
Yep.
In that exact instance. It's a lot like getting exactly what you want for lunch without having to leave your house, which is exactly what Factor Meals brings to the table. Now that it's summer, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for sunny, active days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track, reaching your goals. There is, I don't know about you, Barry, but there are foods that I don't like to eat, that I like to eat during a certain time of year and not during others. Like, I love ramen. I will not be eating ramen in the summer.
That's fair.
I just won't. It's hot.
I will.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I go through like 3 to 4 rotations of meals, and then I would just keep eating those same meals for a very long time.
I'm so jealous. I wish my stupid brain would let me do that.
I think my brain's just stupid.
No, your brain is better than mine, no doubt about it. But here's the great thing about Factor, Barry, is that it's accommodating for both of our very stupid brains.
Nice.
You can stick with some of your favorites, or you can switch it up, because they've got so many different options. Over 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options featuring premium ingredients such as broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. They also have new upscale surf and turf meal options like roasted garlic filet mignon and shrimp, and Cajun spiced shrimp and salmon. That one is sounding particularly good for me. Fish in the summer,
flavor.
very, very nice. Love, because it's just cooling, it's not super hot, whatever. With Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. We offset 100% of our delivery emissions to your door, source 100% renewable electricity for our production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in our meals, which is very good to know. So this June, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/backliners50 and use code backliners50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code backliners50 at factormeals.com/backliners50 to get 50% off your first box. Big shout outs to Factor for sponsoring today's episode.
Nice.
Barry, keep it going.
So we're just gonna speed through the 6 new glyphs. Bewitched Dagger is all. It builds off a Relic Dagger, and then all enemy gods have 25% reduced attack speed and a 55-unit radius around you. Next one is Eldritch Dagger. When you activate a relic, your protections are increased by 15%, and you gain the ability to see wards for 10 seconds. Thoughts on those?
Yeah, everyone wanted Witchblade back. Happy to bring it back on Relic Dagger, giving that item more stats, in a way, more defense in particular, not in the sense of protections, but in the attack speed reduction, I think is very cool. Eldritch Dagger, a little bit harder to use, but really, really good with certain relics. Bracer and Sunder obviously coming to mind. For opposite reasons, Sunder gets to really utilize the protections increase because you can use it twice. And then Bracer just lets you dominate the ward. The ward vision.
The Ward War.
Ward Wars. Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying that stupid phrase, but I just couldn't get away from it. You get to dominate the battlefield with your vision control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Very cool. Like them both.
Flameforge Hammer builds off of Runeforge Hammer. Uh, you obviously know the passive of Runeforge. The glyph is additionally enemy gods with the rune are burned, dealing 5 plus 10% of your protections from items and abilities as magical damage every 1 second while inside the rune, and for 3 seconds after leaving it. Rune Breaking Hammer is your next successful hard CC on an enemy god. Creates a 30-unit shockwave around them. Enemies hit by a shockwave deal 10% less damage and take 10% more damage for 3 seconds. This can only occur every 15 seconds.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Flameforge that I've seen. Rune Breaking, people are really sleeping on. Everyone wants to do more damage, so they're just like, oh, Flameforged. Like, what? I'm just going to burn them. It's sweet. And it is good. Rune Breaking is really good. And really good into particular comps that like need to group up. If you can hit 2 gods and make 2 gods deal 10% less damage each and take 10% more damage each, that is a massive swing in a team fight. People are definitely sleeping on Rune Breaking.
Is this take 10% more damage? Is it additive with other more damage or with other
question.
more damage? Or is that, yeah?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I could take a long time and explain what would make the difference in that decision, but I couldn't tell you because these were not my glyphs this time around to like set up. So yeah, I couldn't tell you, but hopefully we have that info somewhere.
Next is Pridwin. 2 glyphs, Glorious and Reverent. Glorious is when your ultimate ability is finished casting, you create an explosion, dealing 75% of your protections from items and abilities as magical damage, and slowing targets by 25% for 3 seconds and a 30-unit radius. Then you gain a shield equal to 90% of your protections from items and abilities for 5 seconds. When destroyed by timing out or being depleted, you explode again. This can only occur once every 45 seconds. And then Reverent is basically just a bigger shield. We get 200%.
Yes. Poor Ro in the chat saying, dumb Q8, I didn't catch the bug. No one should blame Ro. This was
it's Ro's fault.
No, it is not Ro's fault.
It's Ro's fault.
It is not Ro's fault.
Of course.
These things happen.
Pitchfork out.
But we did find it. This item is disabled. There was a bug. I know you've probably seen Twitter clips, people complaining. This item was triple procking instead of double procking. So they were taking an extra explosion. This will still be really good. Not as good as you've seen from the reactions so far. Reverent, probably going to end up being a little bit more narrow, but I could definitely see comps where when it's good, it's really good. Where you really need survivability, it's going to be big. The only problem with Reverent is I think Sundering Blast is maybe the best relic in the game right now, outside of Beats and Blink. And if Reverent's any good and it becomes meta, teams are just going to build Sundering Blast, and you're not going to get full value out of that 200% shield. But if they don't have Sunder and you build Reverent, you go and be tanky. That's that is it. Yeah, that is true, by the way. Ro, we were testing the bug on Glorious Pridwin, and Ro triple procced me. He bug abused twice in an arena game, and they won by 1 ticket. I would have lived if I only got the correct amount of procced, but no. So you know what? Yeah, it is Ro's fault.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is basically the giant nerfing,
yes,
in my opinion. Everything getting decreased power protections based on how good the items were performing, as I understand.
Yes and no. I would say it's more reduced everything across the board. If an item was severely underperforming or severely overperforming, it got a slightly tweaked change in order to compensate for that. But the goal was to unilaterally lower power on items and lower health and protections on items, but by a smaller amount. Yeah, so... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'll just let you talk over that. I was just going to say we probably are not going to go over any of the actual item changes.
No, we shouldn't. Here's the way to do it. That item you like to build that had power, it has 30% less power now. That item that you like to build that had health protections, it has 15% less of those now. It does make damage items worse, but it is also important to keep in mind that when you see something like Erendite going from 75 to 50 power, and you go, oh, I'm never building Erendite now. It only has 50 power. Well, 50 power...
You're not going to build any items.
Right. Like, there isn't anything that isn't like, oh, it only has X power now. Like, yeah, they all do. That's kind of the point. The overall goal was multifaceted for this. When you look back at 9.5 last year, the patch where we decreased early game TTK. Increased it. Yeah, we made it harder to kill people early game. Mm-hmm. If you look at those changes, it was very heavily weighted towards the early game. And the late game damage changed very, very little in the overall scheme. And this we wanted to be generally the opposite, where the early game should feel less affected. That's why starter items didn't get touched nearly as hard. And the early game should be less affected. And we wanted to bring down that late game burst. Squishies were just two-tapping each other in the late game. And tank players at below pro level, and even at pro level a little bit, were feeling ineffective come late game because there was just so much power in the game. These types of changes are really, really hard to get perfect right away. And I think in the past, we would view that as a reason to not do them. But the reality is that MOBAs in general, you see League of Legends doing very similar things. Oftentimes completely coincidentally, like very close to when we are doing. They had like a TTK shift like right around 9.5 last year. And we were like, what the heck? That's so like, we had no idea. They had no idea what we were working on it. And now everyone's just gonna say like we copied League because it was like one patch earlier than ours, but it had been in the works for months. And we were like, this is garbage.
Nope, that's how patches work.
Luckily that didn't really happen. But MOBAs that are old, like League, like Smite, in order to keep up with the amount of content that gets added, power creep is natural and good. Things should get power creeped. It has to be slow. It has to be meaningful. It can't be every new item, every new character just does more damage, has more procs, has more effects, whatever. But you have to push boundaries of what is established, or else nothing new is going to be interesting enough to matter. So it is natural 10 years in that items just have more power, more health, more procs than they used to. And so the late game becomes significantly more volatile. And we just felt like it had gotten to a point where it was too much so. And like I said, the fact that we aren't going to be able to get it perfectly right away, make sure that every class is exactly where they were before this big shift, and or bringing them exactly where we need them to be. This is going to be a multi-step process. But we obviously don't want to just go, well, it is what it is. Enjoy it even if it sucks. Like, we obviously want to get it as close to right as we can right off the rip. But I do think it's somewhat important for me to acknowledge that, in my opinion, it is very likely that there are outliers on both ends of the spectrum. The community sentiment right now is that tanks are strong and mages are weak. And it's very possible that ends up proving to be even more drastic than how it's being presented. It could be less. Who knows? But I think that this is the right direction. I'm happy that we were able to... One change that we were worried about was reverting the percent pen, because we had just done that. as kind of a experimental fix for one half of this issue, but really both halves. Like if that had done the job, like if that had lowered late game burst, squishy versus squishy, and made tanks feel more effective, going from 40% to what was it, 36%, then
It was 32.
yeah, sorry, 32%. Like if that would have done enough, then we wouldn't have had to do this big shift. But we made the changes and we were playtesting and we were like, dude, these tanks like are just going to be a little bit too much. Like we really need to give maybe we should just go back to the old pen system. And we had a lot of back and forth on whether or not we felt like the community would be receptive to such a recent revert. But I am happy that the community did seem pretty understanding of that logic, because I do think it was just by far the most logical way to solve that issue. And like I said, maybe it's not solved all the way yet. Maybe tank's still too strong currently, but it isn't going to be impossible or hopefully a lengthy process to get them back where they need to be. Some targeted changes should be pretty easy, but generally, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If I had to guess, do think that tanks are going to have a pretty good event. But that's all right, I think that it won't make for uninteresting games, which is the most important thing. And yeah, we just kind of have to wait and see. I don't know. How has it felt playing with all these changes, Barry?
Well, because it's our job to find the most insane ways to
yeah, you got to break
let's just say ruin someone's game.
Uh-huh.
I've had my game ruined a lot.
I bet.
So from my perspective, not great.
Uh-huh.
That's just a carry perspective versus a tank perspective.
That is fair.
And there's some games where I'm like, I feel like I'm just an NPC.
Yep.
I feel like you guys are just taking these team fights without me, and if I'm there, I might do something, and if I'm not there, I'm probably doing the same amount that if I was there.
Yeah.
And then some games I feel are really strong and really useful. But I feel like last patch you kind of had a bit more of a comeback mechanic, obviously, whereas this patch, once the snowball happens and the tanks get a lead, you are cooked as a carry right now.
Yep.
Because you can't really get your damage online fast enough to deal with the tanks that are killing you, and then their carries are also obviously getting more farms, and their tanks are like snuffing you out basically. So you can't really do too much, but that's just from a scrim perspective and perspective where people are doing everything in their power to ruin someone's game.
Sure.
Which I don't think a lot of the community will run into. So hopefully us pro carry players can bite the bullet for you guys, and
yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen to you guys. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Hopefully, there will be some innovations, some solutions found.
I haven't found him yet, so I'm not sure what will happen in this event. So
yeah, still working. Not a ton of time before the event, but I for one can't wait to see which solo laner gets MVP.
Yeah, for real.
It'll be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, just to give you guys, I remember there was a 40-minute game. Guess how much damage I took this game, aggro. Just throw a number out there. 40-minute game.
You probably took 64K.
Close. I took 70K.
Nice.
And I mitigated 40K.
Wow. You were tanky.
Uh-huh.
You were...
Just throwing those numbers out there for the casual community.
Below an ABC game, huh? Jeez.
some games your carry player will be. That was a triple double game for me.
Oh
I'll just
yeah,
have
love to
you-
hear that. Was it the
And
Berserker's Shield Scotty coming back? That's what it sounds like to
I
me.
wish. But yeah, I've had more triple doubles on this patch and taken more damage on this patch than I think I ever have before. So the post game stats on SPL day will be a bit crazy. But yeah, overall fun and a bit of a headache for carry players. But I think carry players were so strong for a while that we kind of forgot what it's like to be weak sometimes. So
Mm,
something we have to get used to for sure.
yes.
Um, but yeah, on to the nerfs. Afro got a nerf on the movement speed. Hachi got a well-deserved nerf on his one ability that was obviously very strong for a
Very
while.
good.
So Hachi kind of got double nerfed with the nerfing and the Eagle Eye nerf.
Mm,
Obviously, like late game when you were hitting somebody with this ability, you were just one-shotting them.
yep.
And now you're not.
No.
Hell gets a movement speed nerf, self and allied.
A lot of movement
3.
speed nerfs in this patch, Barry.
Yeah, I think I like that, honestly.
Yeah, I think I read your stream title for the last however many streams that you've done.
Yeah, there
Was
was
it
a
still
big
in there
meta.
for today's?
Yeah, it's still in there.
Yeah.
Bro, I played against so many regrowth zoomers where I'm just like, what's even the point? Like, I can't hit this guy. He's just flying around.
Let me
Yeah,
search regrowth here. Oh, regrowth lost 10% movement speed from the passive.
I did love that. It's on like what, 20% now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Decreased power from assault stance and defense stance on tier. And then Mamana probably got the heftiest nerf in my opinion.
Yes.
Base duration of this ability going from 6 seconds to 4 seconds, and max duration of this ability from taking damage from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So still
You think that's
obviously
finally enough, Barry?
We'll see. But you know, probably I think. Probably.
Probably.
And I think it was just probably the most painful for the casual community against that god, because that is just a pub stomper.
Yep.
I think pro play, I feel like he is dealable with in pro play, but for casuals, like whenever I play Assault and then versus Mana, like it's just an L.
Yeah.
And then obviously another Yamocha nerf.
2?
Who saw that coming? What?
What's getting nerfed on her? Which stat in particular?
Movement speed, actually.
What do you know?
Interesting.
Lots of movement speed. How many?
Yeah,
I'm going to look up.
I like that.
Okay, I'm seeing 21 mentions of movement speed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say nerfs on Yamoja since release.
No. Well, it's probably more than that.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
Now, some of those are in the dev notes,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a lot of movement speed.
I love movement speed nerfs.
I'm just saying, they're there. They are there. That makes you happy, just like I couldn't think of a better transition than this. I'm sorry. Just like putting on your brand new Oakleys. Super excited to announce our new sponsor, Oakley. You get to express your style and build a look that's made for you. Oakley is changing the game, and it's time to discover a whole new world of possibilities. Whether you run, golf, train, or just want to look like your favorite athletes like Lamar Jackson, Deebo Samuel, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, or Mbappe, then you need to get yourself a pair of Oakleys today. They're suited for everyday eyewear with frames and lenses allowing for an extension of self, an expression of your personality. There's more than meets the eye. Oh, that's a good cat right there. She'd be looking good in some like if you got her like some sport glasses that are Oakleys, that would look very funny. I think that we should make that happen. Because here on this show we're all about look good, play good. That's why Oakley is a perfect partner for us, which is exactly what will be happening with your cat here. Where I lost my train of thought because I was looking at your cat.
Oh, sorry.
She's so cute. Oh yeah, listen up. Oh yeah, and then I scream at you. Listen up, because it's officially summer, which means that you need to upgrade your sunglass game now. Head on over to Oakley.com to get yourself a pair today. Mine should be here any day now. We did get told that there was a little bit of a mix-up, but they are on the way, and I've literally been checking my mailbox like every day for them because I cannot wait for mine to get here. They are going to be awesome because I ordered some lenses that offer prism lens technology. What the hell is that, you ask? Well, it's a proprietary technology to Oakley and available for everyday settings as well. Want to know more? I know you do. Head on over to oakley.com and do your own research on that. And while you're there, get yourself a pair of everyday glasses that'll be sure to change your look for the better. When you wear Oakley, there really is more than meets the eye. If you don't trust me, try it for yourself. I've worn a lot of sunglass brands in my life, and I can assure you, Oakley is not only the best looking, but the best quality out there. Head on over to oakley.com for more information today. Oh my God, I forgot. I wanted to bring this up during the Oakley read, and I totally forgot until right now. I was in a Twitter argument with someone because I can't help myself, and I get into Twitter arguments all the time, even though I tell myself I'm going to stop. And someone said, and this person that I was arguing with was like, I'm glad that you lost your Oakleys at summer camp when you were a kid. And to that person, I want to say thanks for listening to the podcast and paying attention during my ad reads. I'm winning in this instance. But I was like, damn, I was sad when that happened. But yeah, I don't know. It's just on my mind. I meant to
sorry, I was looking for Hammy and he was outside, unfortunately.
Unlucky. That's all right. All right, Barry, we don't have time for all these buffs. I want to, there's some, maybe I'm going to like just pick one or maybe more than one or two, but just a couple. But also bring up any that you want to bring up. Achilles got 5% more increased execute threshold from 30% to 35% HP on Fatal Strike. And you would have thought that Achilles like knocked some groceries out of everyone's grandmother's hands. Like they were like, there was such an uproar about how Achilles was going to be so OP from this change.
Wait,
really? He might be. But I was definitely surprised at how intense the reaction was to this change. Because it's like, on a 3,000 HP target, that's like 150 HP difference, which matters. But it isn't. I don't foresee Achilles just becoming really good because of this. Now, because of this and because of the overall patch where tanks are going to be stronger, he's got, power in the kit, he's got prots in the kit. I could see it. But I don't know. Do you feel differently? Do you think that 5% makes a big difference for him?
I don't think that makes a difference at all. I mean, obviously it does make a difference, but it's not like game breaking. Holy cow, this guy's gonna be top pick, top ban.
Sure.
I mean, watch by the end of the tournament, Achilles does become top pick, top ban, but that would be funny.
That'd be funny, and I'll welcome the ridicule. That's happened to me a lot over the years.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember when Raven Jungle started first becoming a thing in season 4? And I was like, Raven Jungle is bad, and I like quadruple down on it on every cast. And I was really wrong. Raven Jungle was really broken. That was when he was a warrior, and I looked real dumb because that was like literally the best thing you could do in the entire game. But sometimes it's how it be. How about this on her change, Barry? Gains 0.1 base attack speed and slow on his shifting sands up by 5% at each rank.
Someone said he now has the base highest attack speed out of any hunter, so that's kind of exciting. The only thing that's bad about on her,
take a look at that real quick, I suppose.
Obviously, is I think his early game clear is just bad, and if he ever gets behind, that character is just cooked.
Yes,
but I do think the slow is pretty impactful. Putting us a few times, and it does feel kind of bad to get stuck in the one. But I don't think he's like OP or anything.
That is true. He is tied now for the best base attack speed, and with his attack speed per level, he actually ends up with the highest.
Wow.
I do believe. No.
Oh.
No. Who? Oh, wait, no. He does. Yeah, he's the only one who hits above 1.3 at level 20. So he, Carnados, Chiron, Danza, Hachi, Jingwei, and Jibalanke all have 1 base attack speed. And on her is close to the highest at 1.7 per level. So that ends up with him with the highest DPS, and that's without his passive being taken into account. So that matters.
Yeah, and then I was really excited about the Scotty change, and then I read and I was like, oh, they just slapped me in the face with this buff.
Listen, man. Enjoy what you get.
I was so excited when I saw Scotty on the buffs, and I was like, really? That's what they're giving me?
Yep.
a little initial hit of the snowstorm that sometimes doesn't even hit.
Well, yep, that's what you're getting.
What am I supposed to do with that aggro?
Well, you're supposed to use
What
this
am I supposed
Danza
to do with that?
buff. This Danza buff, his stun duration
Uh-huh.
on his ult goes from 1 second at all ranks. Now gets an extra 0.1 per rank. 1.4 seconds at level 20. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
How about this Apollo buff? You used to be an Apollo guy. 0.3
I'm still the
seconds on the
Apollo guy.
Nez duration and increased movement speed. I know you don't like it, but that's on your character now, so like it's fine.
Yeah, I think he just needs some prots on
Hmm.
the two. Some slightly more prots to help his boxing out. And also, unfortunately, that god just does not kill tanks.
No, he never
He
has.
no. He
And the Silver
needs to
Branch
see.
change hurts him a lot.
Uh-huh.
Getting
And
capped.
yeah, so this god, yeah, his one hits a point where you're just like, well, I'm just gonna unbind my one key from my keyboard. I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Artemis as well. There's another Barry character.
Mm-hmm.
10% more scaling on the 3, and the 3 is up 2 seconds faster, 10 seconds to 8 seconds. This is a big buff for Artemis. Like, I'd be kind of surprised if she didn't see play, personally.
Yeah, still a god. She still has the same issues where if she gets behind, she's just useless, and you kind of need your relics and your ult to beat up a lot, and also you need your Tusky to work. And unfortunately, sometimes the Tusky decides to
Just for you, though.
literally only for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never pressed it when they're slightly out of range and still yelled and complained.
Never.
Never, literally ever.
Nope.
Yeah, I do think this character, trolling aside, I do think this character can be good. But I don't think this change really launches her into like OP territory or anything like that. Because she just kind of dies, unfortunately.
That is true, but she also kills tanks better than most other hunters, I think.
Sometimes.
Yeah. She doesn't get Kuzenbode.
Sometimes.
She gets Kuzenbode pretty hard.
Uh-huh. She, yeah.
Most hunters do, to be fair.
Also, I think the biggest nerf to Artemis ever is the trap now DRing. Or getting DR'd.
Yes.
I think that is
That was a big nerf.
game-breakingly bad for Artemis. Like, the traps, like, they just walk him and walk out.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that is tough for sure.
Yeah, honestly, buff the traps. Buff the traps.
We can take it into consideration. Other ones that I saw people talking about a lot: Fafnir gaining more time in the dragon. Used to go up by 5 seconds duration in dragon form per level. Now it's 10 seconds. So ended at 40 before. Now he gets a full minute in dragon form. How much do you think that matters?
A lot for pro play for sure. Because being able to cycle through stuns and cycle through buffs around objectives is very important. So obviously, sometimes you're not always going to get value out of it, especially if you're support. Sometimes you're just going to be stuck behind. So sometimes I don't think the buff will be. You'll get to utilize it completely in comp because obviously, sometimes supports just get behind, stay behind. But if you hit level 20, the buff will do a lot, like a lot.
Yes, I agree. Other ones, let me know if there are any that I missed that you do want to talk about, but I'm just going in alphabetical order here. Poseidon gaining attack speed on Trident activation, I think is big for this god. Makes the 2 max earlier even better. And I think Poseidon already a little bit underrated. Good tank killer, if they aren't Kuzenbo. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a Poseidon fan. I think he should see play.
Yeah, I agree. Also, with you talking about Poseidon and the beacons earlier, I do think he's pretty strong around those beacon fights. So yeah,
agreed. Sobek gets some pretty big buffs.
A lot of big buffs actually.
Yeah, cooldowns on his. He got 2 seconds off his 1, a second off his 2, and his 3.
What if you gave some of those buffs to Scotty? What do you think about that?
Oh, there's one right here. Winter's Grasp. Increased physical power scaling on the initial hit of the snowstorm from 25% to 35%. Great, we already covered it.
Wow. What if you lowered her 1 and her 3 cooldown? What do you think about that?
Extremely Neomod voice. No.
Okay.
No. I don't think I will.
I tried.
Xing Chen gets a root duration buff on Hook Slam, which is pretty good. Saw a lot of people talking about the Vulcan Inferno Cannon losing 4 seconds on its cooldown. We don't do that very often. And I still don't think it matters even a little bit in most scenarios for this god. Inferno Cannon, just a hard to utilize ability. When it's good, it's good. When it's good, it's annoying. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal for him.
Yeah, as a non-Vulcan player, I don't really know how much... I mean, obviously 4 seconds is a lot, but I don't think it's his most important cooldown, and sometimes it's just hard to get usage out of that button.
Yeah. Hopefully now you can place it down if you misplace it in a team fight or something like that a little bit more easily. Got to call up Snoopy to see how big of a deal it is for him, I suppose.
True, actually.
Okay, before we head on over to the random question of the week, we do have one more sponsor to tell you about. It's our brand new sponsor of the podcast.
Woo.
It's Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs are a clothing company that makes some incredible shorts and pants and just overall really great clothing. Barry, do you have a favorite pair of shorts or like pants in general right now?
Yes.
Don't you just feel like so much better when you've got that pair of shorts on?
2 days ago, I went to my parents and put on some like nice shorts and a nice shirt, and Destiny just like stared at me the entire time and constantly talked about how good I looked.
Dude, doesn't it make you feel so good and so bad simultaneously? Because you're like, this is really nice. Like, thanks. That makes me feel good. And also, like, why don't I just do this more? I'm trying to like stupid
exactly.
for that. Like, because I know I'm gonna go back and just wear sweatpants and terrible gym shorts all the time.
Yeah, I've been wearing gym shorts for like 10 years now. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm definitely the kind of guy that should dress up more often and should try that more often.
Well, I've got good news for you, Barry, because we've got some Bird Dog stuff on the way, and it's going to make you be very excited to do just that. Their stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Their shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better, which is obviously big. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. I've got a couple of those that I just cannot stand wearing, but sometimes you gotta wear the nicer looking shorts, but they aren't nicer feeling, and that's not a great compromise to have to make. With Bird Dogs, you don't need to make that compromise. You see, they fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice any movement. Pretty incredible to invent knitting clouds into fabric is it's pretty incredible stuff, if you ask me. They also use anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long, which is actually big. I can think of a pair of shorts that I own right now that are not Bird Dogs that look good, that don't feel too bad, that aren't too stiff, but I get so sweaty in them. So you get the whole package with Bird Dogs is what I'm trying to say here. So if this all sounds good to you, and I'm sure it does, and I'm sure you'll be looking good once you order it as well, head on over to birddogs.com/pool and enter promo code POOL, that's POOL, for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's a nice little perk there from Bird Dogs. That's birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you. Shout out to Bird Dogs. Super excited to have them as a new sponsor on the show. Again, that's birddogs.com, birddogs.com/pool, POOL, to get a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. All right, time for our random question of the week.
Nice.
From our community Discord, patreon.com/backliners if you want to join up. Day wants to know, what are the best and worst fast food restaurants?
This is a good question.
This is a great question. Let's pick one. You can pick one good one that is best or near best, and one that you think is low tier.
So does this talk about every single fast food restaurant under
in
the
my
same
opinion,
branding, or
fast
is this just
food,
an average?
Oh, that's a good question. You're asking if consistency should be factored.
Yeah, well, like restaurant, like sometimes, okay. So back in the day, we had a Taco Bell near us that was like god tier. Like
Yeah.
it was so good. Like
Yep.
every time I went there, I was like, this is the best Taco Bell
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
And then I'll go to other Taco Bells and I'm like, this is the worst Taco Bell
Yep.
ever. Because I would always compare it to the other Taco Bell.
Yep.
And same with Chipotle near me. Like Chipotle to me, I don't know if that quantifies as fast food, but
in my opinion, it does not. Fast food, in my opinion,
okay.
has to have a drive-through. That's the defining
True.
factor.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah, there's the same thing for Chipotle. Sometimes, well, there's a Chipotle like lane pickup on some Chipotles.
No, that doesn't count.
Okay.
Just arbitrarily making a call here.
No,
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Let's see. I don't have that much fast food. I'm trying to think of what I would. Okay, back when I ate a lot of fast food. Let's see. Probably it would be Chick-fil-A.
This is one of the best.
I think for food quality and consistency.
Yeah, there are very few bad Chick-fil-A's.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever had bad Chick-fil-A's. I would say.
Oh, I have for sure, but they're rare.
Zaxby's was really good, but I think got worse as I got older.
Zaxby's has a consistency thing for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would go Chick-fil-A, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that's not a bad choice. You rarely get a bad Chick-fil-A meal. Yeah, I'm going to have to go if consistency is big. For example, if we were talking pure ceiling alone, like what has the best potential, I actually think it's Popeyes, nearly uncontested. It's so rare. I would say 1 out of every 15 times I go to a Popeyes, do I get it like everything is fresh, crispy, perfect, but it is like a transcendent experience when that happens. 5 times out of that 15, it's like mid. And then what? So that's 6 times total. So 9 times it's like actively bad. Like I regret eating it. And that gamble is what makes it so fun in some ways. So if I'm talking pure ceiling, I think it actually is Popeyes. If I'm talking consistency, I think I am going to go Zaxby's. It's a southern thing only. I'd never had it before I moved down here. It's another chicken chain, similar to Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, Popeyes, anything like that. But I'm just a fried chicken lover. And Zaxby's chicken tenders are just undefeated.
Sometimes they are bad, unfortunately.
They can be bad.
Why.
They can be bad. And some you get a little Texas toast because it's the South. That Texas toast sometimes might as well be like a piece of concrete that they painted. Or completely soggy. Wet. Yeah, like, just dripping for no reason. Like, what is that? What is the issue with that?
They pulled it out of the sink and gave it to me.
Right. But sometimes it is crispy and warm and has like a nice crunch when you bite in, but then it's soft when you're chewing. Dude, man, I want some Zaxby's right now. Tongue torch sauce is goated. Zaxby's, like, if we're going with the 15, like 5 are unbelievable. 7 are good to medium, and 3 are bad, and I'm happy with that spread. So I'm gonna go Zaxby's for me.
I'll say I'm just gonna like keep going off.
Yeah.
When I was young, it was KFC.
Oh, dude, KFC used to be so good. So did BK. What happened to Burger King, by the way? Yeah. Someone should be on trial for what happened to Burger King. When we were kids, when they had the crown-shaped chicken nuggets as kids, that went hard. Like, BK was the best. Their fries were good. What happened to them? You know? Like, you want to talk about a fall from grace? It makes me mad. They used to be good. Remember when chicken fries came out?
Going up.
Yes.
And then BK was like the same trajectory.
Do you remember when Wendy's was trash? Wendy's used to be hot garbage. When I was a kid, Wendy's was near inedible. and now it's by far the best of the big three of McDonald's, BK, and Wendy's. I think it's just impossible to compete with them. I think.
In high school, it was Wendy's because they're spicy chicken nuggets, and then in college, it was Taco Bell for me because it was Taco Bell and Arby's for me because it was just price.
Arby's is underrated. Everyone's Arby's haters.
Yeah, I agree.
Arby's is good. Okay, I don't even get the roast beef because I agree that's kind of gross. Their chicken sandwiches are good, and their curly fries are banging.
Yep, I agree.
Dude, what? I'm so mad. Like, do you? I can't.
So wait, so your worst would be BK?
Yeah, I think it's got to be BK. KFC is also up there. That's gone way downhill. I've seen Subways with drive-throughs. Subway went from good to I would consider near inedible. In modern day.
My bottom three would be Captain D's, Subway, and BK, I think.
Yeah.
That being said, I did have their like vegan Whopper, and it wasn't that bad, but I just feel like their prices are so much higher than the quality of what you're getting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've never had Captain D's. I am a staunch Long John Silver's defender. I love Long John Silver's. I have more than once a year driven to the only open Long John Silver's I have seen anywhere near where I live. It's like 30 plus minutes away. I have driven to it just for that. It's so good. The chicken at Long John Silver's is unbelievably delicious. They also can be absolutely terrible, and very rarely are at their best, but when they are at their best, that is the highest ceiling is Long John Silver's chicken. And so I've wanted to try Captain D's because I know it's probably similar, but I've never heard a single positive thing about it. But I feel like that's also the way people are about Long John Silver's, and they're kind of trolling if you ask me. Dude, growing up, I had a Long John Silver's and A&W combo restaurant, and so I could get Long John Silver's chicken and cheese fries from A&W. And if you got a soda there, they would serve it to you in a big chilled glass because that's like A&W's thing. And it was so good. Me and my mom would go there all the time.
Checkers is banging.
Dude, Checkers is banging. I'm with you on that. Joe was a big Checkers fan. I've never had it. We went there one time. We were just like on a road trip and we passed one. And we were like, I'm just going to I got like a bunch of things to just try them all because I'd never been to a Checkers before. And like everything was good.
Yeah, their fries might be the best fry ever.
Their fries are really good.
When I was younger, I would just go there and get like a big thing of I think it was their chili cheese fries, and then get a strawberry shake, and that would be like my dinner, and that was like prime time fast food nostalgia right there. Like it was so good.
I have not had fast food. I'm so bad about eating fast food. I normally do it multiple times a week. It's so bad for me. I don't want to, but I do it. But I haven't in like over a week because I've been sick and haven't left my house, and I've been wanting fast food so bad. And this conversation is making me so... Dude, I would literally say some really bad things in order to get cheese fries and a strawberry milkshake from Checkers right now. Like, I would do some messed up stuff for sure. Okay, Dave's next question. What is the most overrated video game? This is so easy. It's so easy. It's The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is an unplayable game when you look at it from a game perspective because the combat is awful. It is terrible. It is unusable. Everything else about The Witcher 3 is flawless. The world building, the voice acting, the story writing, the scenic, like the graphics, everything, all 10 out of 10. You can't play that game because if I ran into one little skeleton man on the side of the road, I was like, oh no, dude, I have to fight. Like, that isn't how it should be. Make it a story. I would have happily taken my hands off the controls for every fight scene, let a computer do it real quick, fast forward through it, and then just explore the world, walk around, see all the sights. Everything about it was great, except for the combat, which was unusable. That game sucks.
Mine's Halo Reach.
I was a Halo Reach fan, I gotta admit.
That game, competitively, is just the worst Halo of all time.
It was the worst competitive, for sure.
It, like, just a terrible, terrible game.
Okay, but the
Really
final
good.
mission from the Halo Reach campaign, where you're
Look,
just...
if you're talking about the campaign for any Halo, you just don't have an argument.
What do you mean? The Halo campaigns are great.
Yeah, but that's not why you play the game.
That's a big reason why a lot of people play Halos. For sure.
Yeah, well,
I know a
those
lot
are
of people
just
who are Halo
nerds.
campaign mains.
Play
I
the
love Halo
multiplayer.
campaign. I say that and I haven't played the last like 2 Halo campaigns, but I used to love the Halo campaigns a lot. I should play the Halo campaigns. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
that
would go Halo Reach.
Yeah, I'm not blaming you on that. Timmy wants to know which red is the best red, talking in candy terms. I'm gonna go with red Starbursts.
Skittles, I think.
Skittles are good. Skittles are good.
Are you talking about like only the red Skittles?
Yeah. Oh, what about what were the things? Oh, it was
Twizzlers,
people who were
man.
fans of Halo campaigns. Nerds. Do you remember? You remember the Nerds candy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the red Nerds were pretty good.
I don't think I ever had them.
Chat, Twizzlers are bad.
Yeah,
Surely
Twizzlers-
you can't be finding this out for the first time now.
I feel like Twizzlers are like the perfect like 80-year-old food.
Yeah. I was
Like,
gonna say something
you
really
don't-
out of pocket that I should not say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You just don't have teeth, and you're just gonna suck on that thing for the next 2 hours.
They're so bad, guys. Licorice in general is bad. Like, they're not good. I don't know what to tell you. It's the truth, and you need to hear it. Okay, Neon with the final question of the week. Just got back from vacation, so they would like to know, what would your dream vacation be? No budget limit and can travel anywhere.
I would just do an extended vacation all around Europe because when I went to Europe for SPL, I didn't really get to explore it. We went to Spain and it was kind of just very, very, very hot outside. So
Sure was.
just being able to go through a lot of the countries over there and just kind of explore the beautiful landscapes, I think, and just kind of like get away for a while would be really cool. So yeah, I would say just like a long kind of like backpacking European adventure.
Yeah, that sounds great. There are a lot of places that I really desperately want to go. I really want to see the Northern Lights at some time in my life. There are a lot of places you can do that. You know, Sweden, Norway, Alaska, all that kind of stuff. Sign me up for any of those. That just seems like one of the... It's just one of those things that it's like crazy to think about that happens on Earth. You know what I mean? And I would really like to see that. Right after we did the Spain land that you were just talking about, I went to Italy with a couple of my friends, and it was incredible, particularly Florence. And I'd love to go back to Florence with my wife because she's never been to Italy, so I'd love to do that. I really want to go to Ireland since I'm Irish and have some pretty clear like family lines that we can trace back to like towns they lived in and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to go there. I want to see Greece. I've heard great things about Istanbul and the Czech Republic and like Prague in particular. Like that's a city that really interests me. There are a lot of places I want to go. If I had unlimited budget and unlimited time, I would also love to travel and play a bunch of different like famous golf courses around the world. I think that'd be a very fun like way to set up a trip. You know, go to Scotland and play St. Andrews and just generally, I'd have to be much better at golf than I am. But I'm assuming if I have unlimited budget, unlimited time, I can also get unlimited golf lessons. Which would be OP for me. But yeah, I love to golf, so that would be a fun way to do it. But there's a lot of things I want to see.
Nice.
Never been to England either. I'd like to go to England, but that's a little bit lower on the list because it feels a little bit more familiar in that way. But yeah, good question, Neon. Hope you had a good vacation. All right, that does it for our show this weekend. Let us know if we missed any topic in particular that you'd like us to cover. Masters event this weekend should be a ton of fun. we'll be back next week to talk about it. That's about it. Yep. I don't got anything else. Until then, check out predictions of the shows. Big shout outs to Factor, factormeals.com/backliners50, Oakley.com, and Bird Dogs. You can head on over to birddogs.com/pool, POOL, in order to get a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. The 3 sponsors for today's episode. And until then, Bera, you know what to do.
Bye.
Clean. Oh, Japan. I want to go to Japan really badly.
Oh, true. That would be perfect.
Yeah, Japan is like maybe at the top of the list, honestly. I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, I think that would be the first place I would go before I went on a European vacation.
So we troll, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, my allergies are so bad, I can't breathe.
Yeah, what's the point? I'm with you.
There's just no oxygen in my brain right now, so.
Can't win.